before, what we would do is we would practice uphahla and prayer.
Okay.
Right? Simultaneously, or one before the other.
Yes.
Okay. So uphahla is something we would do to communicate with our ancestors.
Really good to see you this morning. I guess we need to start the conversation at the very top by explaining what Amathongo are or what Itongo is.
Okay, so Idlozi and Tongo is the difference between the two, right? Idlozi is someone who once lived, right? Whether it be your grandmother, grandfather, or grandparent, okay, but is no longer alive.
Yeah.
Okay, that is someone of your direct lineage.
That is Idlozi.
That is Idlozi.
That is clear.
They look after you. They are directly responsible for looking after you, protecting you, and loving you. So Idlozi comes from the word dloza, which is to comfort, to protect, and to look after, right?
Okay.
Itongo okanye Amathongo, right? If you were to translate it into English, it's your guardian angels or your angels. So you see in the Bible, they have Amenadel, they have Uriel, like Lucifer naye.
Yes,
He was once an angel as well. Gabriel as well. So all of those are angels. Tina, before Christianity, we had our own angels called Amathongo. The word tongo, sleep, they visit us in our sleep.
Right.
And they protect us whilst we are asleep. And there are 6 kinds with our own name for uNkulunkulu as well.
And we're going to get into that in a moment. For understanding purposes, for someone who's just hearing this for the first time, are these considered our spirit guides? Or is that something else completely different?
So your spirit guides would be Idlozi, right?
Okay.
Your ancestors.
So they fall under the Idlozi.
Right. They fall under the Idlozi, right?
Okay.
Amathongo are angels or guardian angels, each with their roles and responsibilities, right?
Okay.
Now, the difference between our version of angels and the Bible's version of angels is that our angels are not, you see, African religion and African spirituality isn't necessarily about the big man in the sky that you should fear and you should not sin at all. You should live your life fearing sinning, right?
Yeah.
Or atoning for a sin. No. African religion is about you blossoming and becoming the best possible version of yourself.
Yes.
That's why with each of the 6 that are there, there's not a single one of them there that's responsible for punishment.
Oh, really?
Not a single one. Yeah, but
So I ukuthi manje wena uma sowonile uyacheziswa sebakufanele izinto and all of that, like we often hear people say, there's none of that.
exactly. I mean, the religious narrative that you should live your life fearing sin and always in the cycle of I fear sin, I sin, and I atone for sin. You know, when do you spend time becoming the best possible version of yourself and serving your highest spiritual purpose?
Right.
Which is what the 6 angels do, okanye izithunywa zikamenzi that we do, which is an important word to explain.
Yeah.
Izithunywa, when umuntu says nginesithunywa.
Let's explain the different 6 and what they represent in our lives.
Okay. So in the middle, obahlanganisai, right?
Yeah.
Because we have 3 that represent feminine energy.
I follow.
And then we have another 3 that represent masculine energy.
Okay.
And then in the middle, I'm sure you've heard the word umvelinqangi.
Yes.
Right?
Masikhuleka sithi umvelinqangi wokukhulu.
Exactly. Umvelinqangi is the one that binds all of them together, right? And ensures that they all work in unison, right?
Okay.
Hence we use umvelinqangi as our word for God, or some people use the word uNkulunkulu.
Yes.
Right? The ones that represent feminine energy, uma, unomhoi, unomkhumbulwane.
Okay.
Right? Those 3.
Right.
Okay? Uma represents warmth and comfort, especially in the home and family.
Okay.
So if you're lacking warmth and comfort in your home and it's very cold endlini, right? You'd be praying, you'd be asking Idlozi lakho to assist you to pray to Uma.
Itongo.
Lelo tongo.
Yes.
Right? So sometimes what happens, and that's why I'm saying you start with Idlozi, sometimes uphahla, and then you go to uktandaza, which
Right.
is itong.
Okay.
Because that cycle, right, can assist your prayer. Sometimes uphahla can assist prayer, and sometimes prayer can assist uphahla.
Yes.
Okay? And then if you are lacking, you see when it comes to rain, when we didn't have rain, right? Rain allows for things to grow. So the person responsible for fertility and growth and nourishment of life would be unomkhumbulwane. Yikho nje in the olden days, what they would used to do when they had drought, they would say, hambani entabeni niyokhuleka to unomkhumbulwane.
Okay.
Exactly.
I have heard those tales as well.
Exactly. So we had people that we prayed to in moments of drought, in moments of lack of warmth in the family, and then you have unomhoi. Unomhoi is responsible for purity and cleansing of the home.
Okay.
So if you're having a lot of, if you're having istritos ninge kaya, there's a lot of flies, there's a lot of bugs eating the crops, and so on and so forth, right? And you're having a lot of waste being produced by the community. You would pray to unomhoi, who would be responsible for bringing rain and bringing purity and cleanliness and purity. So what you would do is you would go to the river, and when you pray at the river, you would say, "Ngicela ukuthi unomhoi angeze, angihlanze."
Right. And ngokuzihlanza wena, I like the example that you used of a farmer, right? So we're not only relying on just the science. I mean, for crops to grow, for rain to have poured on these crops, you know, it's a spiritual thing. And that entire process then is also governed by how you are as a person. So if you're cleansed, everything that you touch, you know, grows and sprouts, etc., etc., right? The other three now, let's talk about them.
So the masculine ones, right?
Yeah.
Usodumo, usomandla, and umlenze munye.
Yes.
Okay? Usodumo is probably my favorite one, so I'm going to start with him.
Okay.
Right? The reason why I like Usodumo is because Usodumo, which is fame and success,
yes,
right? That's what he's responsible for. But Usodumo's responsibility is to say to us that you don't have to choose between fame and success and serving your higher spiritual purpose.
Okay.
Right? We always think, okay, what makes me happy versus what pays the bills.
Right.
And also Dumo says you don't have to choose. Mina ngigakusiza to serve your purpose, but also fulfill fame and happiness fame and success at the same time. Of
Which
course,
is the one thing that a lot of people struggle with, having to choose either or. And with that understanding and the way you're explaining it now, we don't have to.
We don't have to choose, right?
Yeah.
Also, Dumo is there to say you don't have to choose, and there's nothing wrong with being famous and successful, but also serving your higher spiritual purpose, and you shouldn't feel guilty for that.
I get you.
Then we've got umlenze munye, which is my next favorite because it's the most important one, right?
Yeah.
When you look at the word umlenze munye, right, to stand on one leg, what that means is all your projects, all your ventures are complete, and nothing is left incomplete. Nothing is left partially complete. Whatever you start, you finish. That's why in Zulu, when someone is, you know, moving from first year to second year, but they've got to carry over a subject that they failed from first year, right? They've got a leg in first year and a leg in second year.
Yes.
But if you are in 1 year, right, then you're standing ngomlenze munye.
Right, everything is now
Exactly.
complete.
So if you have this habit, so when we're struggling to complete our projects, or when we would start something, but there would be issues when it comes to actually the summation of the project or the conclusion, right? Anything we start doesn't have a conclusion. Umlenze munye was the one to actually assist us with that.
I like
and then
that.
Usomandla, a very important one as well.
Yeah.
He gives us the courage and the strength and the conviction, right?
Yeah.
To live our lives to the fullest. And
Okay.
I think we always forget that it takes great courage to try to be successful, and it takes courage to live. We all think that life is compulsory when it really is not. And Usomandla is responsible for giving us isibindi, amandla, to live, but to live with purpose and conviction.